This is an FM modulator, and it's what's going to enable me to install a headphone jack into my old car. If you have one of those cheap cassette tape adapters or Bluetooth to FM transmitters, throw those away, guys. This FM modulator sounds so much better. We'll keep everything stock, and don't be intimidated. The installation was honestly so easy. Guys, literally anyone can do it. Let's quickly break down how this thing works. Every car has a radio box with an antenna cable plugged into it that provides the signal for all your radio stations. We're going to unplug that cable, and the modulator works by going in between this connection. So, we're going to instead plug the modulator directly into the antenna slot. Now, the modulator does also need power, unfortunately, but don't worry, I'll show you how we can easily get that by simply tapping into the existing wiring harness that powers the radio. Then, the car's radio antenna plugs back into the modulator, allowing you to still listen to the radio. Lastly, your phone plugs into the modulator through a RCA to auxiliary cable that you'll need to buy separately. Getting right into it, I'll be doing this on my 2006 Chevy Malibu. With my car, in order to get to the stereo box, I need to remove my lower side dashboard panels first. Since every car is going to be different in how you get to your radio, I'm just going to speed this process up into a quick time lapse, so please enjoy. Alright, so now we have our radio box here, so I'm just going to unplug the wiring harness. And as you can see, we have our red and black wire. The red is for the positive 12 volt and the black is the negative that these are going to tap into. And the reason why I know this is because I have Googled a diagram of this wiring harness that seems to fit my car, and that checks out. And just to make sure, we even looked at it with a multimeter and showed that there was in fact 12 volt coming out of that port where the red wire was. So that is definitely our power. And this is where I do need to warn you to disconnect your car battery, because if you don't, you will likely cause a fuse to short, which is what happened to us. Anyway, the idea here is to strip down both the power and ground wires until a small part of the wire is fully exposed. We will use this area to fuse the electrical wires together to tap into the existing power going into the radio box. To do this securely, we are first going to split the exposed wire portion into two separate strands to form a small gap. Then we just twist the wires together in between this gap, and as long as you get good contact, it should be fine. In order to make as best contact as possible, we found a pair of needle nose pliers to help crimp the wires together came in especially handy. Then we're just going to bandage her up with some electrical tape. We're going to do the exact same thing with the black wire here. Once again, just stripping it down to the metal. We're using a pair of scissors, but feel free to use whatever you like. And just creating a gap of separation there and twisting it together once again. Again, trying to make as best contact as possible. And then finally bandaging it up with some electrical tape. Now all we need to do is just plug everything together, starting with the antenna cable. Now I have to use a adapter here because the antenna cable that came on the modulator actually doesn't fit directly into my radio box. And then once everything's plugged in, the car's antenna cable plugs right into the modulator. Then put the wiring harness right back on, snap that in, And then we have our RCA to 3.5mm headphone jack that we plug right into the modulator, and this is what we plug into our phone. So I'm just going to be lazy here and use some electrical tape to secure it down. I would recommend using a command strip though, and then everything, just do some cable management and put everything back together, and that's it.
Power on. Connected.
Child prisoner grows